Hello everyone, welcome back to this another interesting session again today, guys. Yes, so today we are bringing to you another interesting project that is going to show you how you can use Terraform to launch your instance and have Jenkins installed on this instance at launch time, automated, as well as have Docker also installed on this server at launch time and have that Docker user configured. My name is Paul. I'm a DevOps engineer and also an Agile coach. I'm passionate about building automated software projects that are going to make your life easy. I've been in the industry for over 8 years, and I'm also good at building strategic projects that is going to drive your innovation for your digital experiences, even from within the startup organization as well as a bigger brand organization, guys. So let's dive into the project right away. And right before we dive into the project, let us see what is going to be the design of this project. So looking at the design that we have here right now, so you have a user right here that you can build, you configure your code using Terraform, and this the goal of this code is going to will be to launch an instance on AWS cloud. You can also do the same for your Azure and also GCP cloud. And the good news is that when you are launching this server, you can automate the installation of Jenkins on that server, including even Docker, as we'll see in the next slide. So you can have Docker also installed on this server at launch time and have a user configured so that that user can work and run Docker commands and seamlessly without any need to have an elevated privilege. And that is the goal here, guys. So let's look at what is going to be the requirement. The first thing is you have to have Terraform install on your local machine, including uh, AWS CLI. You need to have an AWS CLI also installed on your machine so that you can, after you have your AWS account set up, you can pass your access key on your access secret keys, that's your credentials, using this AWS CLI configuration. And some dependencies, we are going to have some dependencies like Java and also Git that is going to be required for this Docker user as well as the Jenkins installation to run. So we are also going to automate the installation of the Git and Java at launch time. The next thing is you want to know, you may see this project, you may feel like, hey, what experience do I need in order to accomplish this project? Basically, you just need to be able to have some basic knowledge around AWS Cloud as well as Docker, and also be able to know what Jenkins is all about, which is our CI tool. Okay, let's go ahead, and these are the different steps that is going to be required for this project. These steps are not going to really be configured as you see it. It looks really much, but we have simplified the steps so that sometime we can accomplish 2 or 3 of these steps in a single step. So do not worry about all the length of this, the number of steps that you see here right now, but it's just being broken down for simplicity. So let's go ahead and we will go right into the process. This is my contact. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can also find me on GitHub right from my first dash my last name, or on LinkedIn you can also follow me on my first and last name on LinkedIn. All right, guys, thank you. Let's go right into the project right now. So we do have our uh, VS Code right here, and we do have 2 repository right here. I'm going to list the 2 repositories pretty much, and we will see the 2 repository that I'm talking about. Okay, let me clear my screen, and we are going to see the two repository that we have right here. So of these two repository, this particular repository already has the code that has automated the launch of the Jenkins from right here. But this one is a completely new repository, and we are going to be working with this code that is already automated for the launching of Jenkins, and all we need to add in this other repository is just the code that will also be able to automate the launching of the installation of Docker at launch time alongside the configuration of Docker user. So we are going to first of all cd into this repository, the repository that I did said it's brand new repository, there's no code in it. And then we will copy just the path and we will get into this repository and we'll copy the code onto this other repository. All right, guys, thank you as we follow up with me in the project. So I'm going to cd into auto-jenkins-docker, and the goal here is just for me to copy this path right here, and I'm going to copy this path right here. That is it, guys. I'll clear my screen and I'll step out of that repository. Let us now go into auto deploy server, where we have to copy the code onto this other repository. All right, so we are right here. Just wanted to clear my screen, guys. So if you see in this repository, there are already some code right here. You see that? But if you go into the other previous repository, there is no code in that repository. So that is the intent here. So we are going to copy all these different files, because we have a couple of folders. You can see from right here we have some the Terraform configuration folders already with all the code right here, with the file sitting right here. So we are going to copy we will say any folder that ends with .tf onto this path, and we just did that, and we will do same for the sh folder. The sh folder is just the one with the script that is going to automate the installation, and one other file is left, that is the one with the .readme file. Okay, let's get the one that ends with md, and that is it, guys. We are good. So we are going to cd and come out of that folder, that directory, and we are going to go into the other directory called auto Jenkins right here. Okay, we are still in the other folder. Let's cd dot, and we are going to now cd into the auto Jenkins Docker repository. So if we go into this repository right now, we will see that we have all the files. We just copied all the files, the folders from the other repository into this repository. So we are going to be working from auto Jenkins Docker repository. So let's go ahead and do our changes. So before that, guys, I do have, like I just talked about, I have a AWS CLI installed on my local machine, and I've already configured my credentials. So I'm not going to worry about my credentials. So right now, this is the repository that we are going to be working from. And the most important thing is for me to go into this script right here This is a bash shell script that is automating the installation of Jenkins right here. So we are going to, first of all, make sure that we have Docker also installed before the Jenkins is being installed. So come right here and we will say install Docker and configure the user. Install Docker and configure user. Yes, that is it, guys. And the first thing we will do is to do a sudo yum update. And we will do a sudo docker search as well as we will do sudo docker install -y. And right after that, guys, we need to also have the sudo user mode -a-g, and we can set up the Docker user right here, and we will include the user. You could say EC2 user right here, but we can also automate that by saying, hey, we want to have any user right there. So we can just have that and say, who am I? Right there. And we will go ahead and also add the Docker user group and user ID right here. So the goal is to make sure that we have Docker installed and also have the user configured to be such that the user can run Docker commands with an elevated, without the need to have an elevated privilege. So we will go ahead. I want to check a few things just to make sure that we have our code in order, guys. Okay, this is my GitHub repository. We had one other job that we did. I just want to compare to make sure that we are not missing anything. Okay, let's see what we have in this script. In this Docker script, all of this looks good. Okay, and that is it, guys. That is it all. So the only thing right now that we need is just this remaining two commands. That is, we need to ID the EC2 user and also have a new group for Docker, and also sudo yum and upgrade the server. Those are the three things that we are missing, and we'll have that right there. Okay, and this is totally fine, guys. You can have either EC2 user right here, or we can have that as, we can ID who am I, and also, and that is it, sudo yum upgrade. Okay, everything looks good according to my observation right now. Let's see what we have from there. Okay, the only thing that is missing from this code, guys, is just to make sure that we have the reboot command so that this the configuration, the server should be able to restart so that the Docker user can take effect, guys. So all these other components, this is just the installation of Jenkins, and we have the repo right here and with the URLs, and then we have this upgrade right here. We may choose not to upgrade the server from right here. That is totally fine because we have the upgrade right there. So we don't want to upgrade to run the upgrade command twice. And we do have a switch user right there so that we can install Java and as well as the installation of Jenkins. And pretty much everything looks good. Okay, and the last thing is just to make sure that we will reboot our server right after the installation is complete. So we just do a sudo reboot so that the Docker user can take effect. And that is it, guys, for the entire configuration. So we do have just the backend.tf right here. The backend.tf is configured such that our Terraform state file will be hosted remotely, will be kept remotely, and we already have an existing S3 bucket right here. That is the name of the bucket, and this bucket has its version enabled. Then we have this script right here. We have the server configuration. This is the server right here. So the user data, which is a script, is passed right here. So it's passed right here, and we also have the Terraform output right there, so that we'll have our Elastic IP that will be output to us right after the launch. And we will have our provider.tf. We are launching this server in US East 2. And we also have our variable configuration and our VPC right here with the different subnets, as well as the different um, uh, subnets, as well as the internet gateway, including the security group configurations, guys. So let's go ahead and we can launch the server and make sure that we have the configuration set up right. So let's go ahead. So the first thing I'm going to do is to run our Terraform init. So we have the files on autosave right here so that you won't have to uh, run it, have to save it manually. So we can go ahead and run our Terraform init. So let's see the initialization of this configuration. So like we did say, we're going to do a couple of steps, 2, 3, or more steps in a single step. So that is what we just did to do our configuration. We just wanted to make sure that we added the installation of Docker on that server at launch time and the user. So it's taking some time to initialize, which is totally fine, guys. Okay, great. So our configuration has been initialized. So we'll do our Terraform validate. So like we did said, we also have Git installed. We have Terraform installed as well as kubectl. Those are, and Java. Those were just these little dependencies that we wanted to do. So our configuration is valid, and we can do our Terraform plan right here to make sure that we have everything in order. Okay. Okay, so this is prompting us to enter our availability zone, which was not supposed to be the case though, but it's totally fine. So we say we are doing this for US is 2A. So we'll do that for US is 2A. Okay. So we say we are doing this for the dev environment. It's not supposed to be asking all of this, but we can check the configuration. We can check the configuration to make sure that we have all these variables declared, guys. It's not supposed to be asking for all of this. Okay, we have our variables.tf right here. Let's see our variable configuration. Our variable configuration looks good right here. And our instance type, because we also have our Terraform vars.tf. Let's see what we have. Okay. So instead of having all of this reconfigured this way, we need to create a Terraform var.tf file configuration right here so that we will not have to, it will not be requiring us to enter all these values. So I'm going to go ahead and exit this. Yes. So this is in the folder variables.tf. Yes. And that's exactly what we talked about, guys. So we'll fix that right now. We'll go ahead and fix all of that right now. We will go ahead and create a file. We'll create a folder called terraform.var.tf in here. Terraform .tf var. Terraform.tf vars. And we will have that configuration right there. So this is totally fine, guys. It's totally fine to have all of this. So we're kind of wondering, why should all the configuration, should everything be requiring us to have to re-enter all those data at launch time? We can have that. And the CIDR block, it's pretty okay. We can just go ahead and grab the CIDR block that we have in the VPC. So in the VPC configuration, we have the CIDR block right here. This is the CIDR block. And we will go ahead and have that in our Terraform vars right here. Okay, and our subnet, for our subnet configuration, the variable is right here. As well as we could choose not to waste time, not waste our time, maybe redoing other configuration. We can just, we already have some configuration right here that is uh, exactly what we want to see. So we do not need to be doing all of this. So we can just go ahead, copy that one and have it right here. And that is exactly what we need. The only thing we may want to change right here is for our environmental prefix. We're doing this, you want to do this for the QA environment or for the dev environment. So just allow the dev environment right there. And T2 medium is fine. And that is what we need, guys. Okay. If that is okay, we can go ahead, clear our screen, and we'll run our Terraform init command again. The initialization looks good. We'll do our Terraform validate. And everything looks good. We can run our Terraform plan and it will not ask for, it won't be requesting for us to enter all the data any longer. And everything looks good. We can go ahead and run our Terraform apply. Terraform apply dash auto dash approve. And once this server is provisioned, we can go ahead, grab our IP and be able to access our Jenkins server directly from the browser. The only thing we need to do, we'll need to just SSH onto that server and cut the key so that we can be able to access our Jenkins server from the browser, and also make sure that a Docker user has been configured and the Docker user is able to run the Docker commands. So it will take a minute for our server to be provisioned. And this is our IP. We will go ahead. The server is currently certainly being rebooted at this time. And this is our IP. We can go to the browser from right here. We should be able to access our Jenkins server from right here from the browser on port 8080 according to our security group configuration. We will not be able to access it right now because it is taking the system, the server is being rebooted. In just a second, we should be able to access that Jenkins server. We will keep refreshing. And that is it. So the server has just rebooted, everything looks good. And this is the Jenkins that we are able to access the Jenkins from the browser. And it will take just another second, another refresh. It will give us this command that will be able to SSH and cut this to have the initial password for the initial user. So we can go ahead and we can break out the terminal. can do that. We can return right back, guys, so that we can SSH. So cd into download right there, and we'll do SSH. We want to SSH on the server -i, and we have our key right there, and we have EC2 user, and we can have our IP right there, and we will access the server. We just accessed the server. The first thing we want to try to see is to check if a Docker user is running, if the Docker user is able to run the Docker commands. So we'll do that by running docker info. Okay, the Docker info isn't responding. Let's first of all cut the Jenkins server key before we will come back and reboot the system again, and obviously the Docker user should be able to take effect. We will cut this key right here, copy the key and bring it over to the server. We will cut the key and we will copy the key from right here, and we will be able to access our Jenkins server from right here. And that is the initial password. And we have our Jenkins server right here. Let's see. Awesome. Great. And we can go ahead, we can install the recommended plugins, and you can start using your Jenkins. And we do not have the Docker user running right now, and the main goal is just to restart or reboot the system, and we should be able to have the Docker user running. And that was it, guys. In order not to make the video to be too long, we are going to have the repo of this project attached to the video, and kindly comment in the comment section if you do need anything else. Thank you guys for watching.